Ghana de your one. Oh say your one. Oh unse you can't democracy Alaska. Democracy be effective is determined by how robust institutions end up pinning that particular democracy in the area. That is why you hear people advocating say institutions must be effective. Institutions must be effective because to determine say constitution be to a larger extent, institutions and one of the basic things about even the access to those things. But because institutions are effective, you also need men of conviction, men of more principle to ensure say those institutions will be very effective. And the institution in democracy, institution in say Alaska, they will ensure say things will be done orderly. And never orderly will serve the interest of the majority of the people. Yet to come on 2020, your friends are in certain disagreement within the political space. As to say any new register and I think that it created a whole lot of tension. In the midst of COVID, we spent a fortune. And the conversation then was that, we were adding new features to it. In the SR register, we are forever and never. No, Ghana will never do any new register. In the face of your friends, a massive resistance against that particular position of the EC, they went ahead and did the registration in Alaska. And now you're going into the next elections. The Electoral Commission added another CI seeking to outlaw the existing law, your first register, because what it means is if this particular law goes in, then one for say you ever to existing register. No, it's a positive assumption that people are making because if it goes through and it says Ghana card and quite the only card that you have the registration going forward. In principle, it means that the existing register on and your Ghana card and quite the year. So one of the inferences you can draw and say then it could be outlawed for us to do a new one. So it's a precursor for us to do a new register. So the good question is the fortunes, the millions, the risk Ghanaians took then. You got to talk machines then. Are we going to a realm? We will be served with an option either to throw away those things and now say that will be determined by the EC. These are some of the critical issues. You expect saying Parliament. The Parliament is losing its relevance and its essence because of this partisan politics in Alaska. Address your analysis near determine the good and the bad. What serves national interest and what doesn't in Alaska. Kwabranen ya the black politics when they will be at the back pocket and your politics were the house. Because Alaska, this thing is straightforward. Look at the CI. Seeking a limited registration amount for years in some districts, going forward will be done in EC headquarters, EC district offices. Exactly. Go to some of the regions like Eastern region, as all the regions, are so scattered. There are Ghanaians that they cannot even afford. Your friends, they are not ready in a day, let alone to travel to a city to go and join a queue. When in the past, your friends, you see the right to vote, Alaska. It's a privilege that is conferred on Ghanaians or sound-minded over 18 years. By the constitution, by the virtue of the fact that you are a Ghanaian, and that right can never be taken away can be taken away and as subdued or in any way by the fact that we need to. No. So the state must ensure that it's always accessible, provided that the person is reasonable and is of certain age. So the state is to ensure that measures be able to go more. That particular right now, right Ghana for enjoy Alaska. You be go no monsaka. But say issue crowd this anema we ba just to ensure that sabi omonema ba hinhan more more. O parliament, your job is to ensure that you take care of the masses. So it is your job. Yes, yes, they can be pardoned because I want easy way. Chale, now fena you come crossing could be officer registration or maybe pentem. But you in parliament, you are supposed to be very reasonable. Look at it from a wider perspective because you are with the constituent. Exactly. You understand it better. So you call for an amendment. You call for changes. I don't want to cry. But Alaska, because of the same cheap politics. Because of the same cheap politics, again, still as a black politics, and I argue emotions. We are arguing pure partisan politics. We are not arguing reason, cogent reason. I'm here situated to get a closure, EC can be pardoned when they are coming out with all these things. But when I would say district, you know the size of the some of the district. A bit wild to the extent say, Lord, for the panel back some of them will see no need, especially looking at the time I hear me. People will not do that. So Alaska, and now going forward, so here Ghana baby agency here. There are a lot of people are very much concerned about the Ghana for better election to any election to considering where we are. So the last thing anybody will be doing is to put ourselves in a situation. Remember Ghana for have doubts on the outcome of elections. So you don't position yourself so in a situation yade niema ebabe yesi one time in attempt to say you disenfranchise it, definitely it's not orga well. Maybe address the issue I can the Ghana card. You see, a Supreme Court ruling nearby no. You express your opinion. Me free say radio with a lot of intellectual loopholes. Sabinyans say me brain say ukra your friend is saying birth certificate won't mean fan to about this ukra just say it doesn't make sense. That ruling was raided with a whole lot of absurdities. Breaking the heart of common sense. But it is coming from the Supreme Court. You have our opinion, they have their way. So it is what it is. But the reality your team has is here in Alaska. So we say obi a voter registration as a Ghana card in Kwan obi here. Ghana card about a Ghana card never na Ghana for a Ghana for. That's right. So it is a Ghana card eba. So Abrana 1992 constitution eba no. Constitution eba no obi oba beto Ghana habia no. You are recognized as a Ghanaian. Exactly. Because Udi can sign a constitution now, but constitution into me and take it first when you Ghana ni. And the Ghana you want to write out to Abano. You cannot use Ghana card to change the person's nationality or use an attempt to redefine nationality. You can't do that. But they have done it. But doing it, Alaska. Say I doing it, national policy, very accessible, and every Ghanaian at any point in time can accept the fact that Obia or Ghana card. Mr. Policy be no cut and stone or rigid. Say Ghana for now or card Alaska. You cannot blame anybody. We cannot in principle agree. Okay, going forward now we are even using Ghana card to vote. And your problem. But we are in the middle of a process that is in play. Do you know say the whole of January? And I have one single person registration. And the whole of January, they never did a single registration. You can engage some of the workers. They never registered a single person. Why? I tell for the car logistical constraint no more. Exactly. Because Sika no number of Sika cry I adapt to restructure. Was it there? They Ghana card. So it shows that there is a genuine concern. They cannot go ahead with the registration. So on what basis can any reasonable person, man in a state institution, will conclude say Ghana card? No matter what said one, registration to Abano. When you know a larger number of Ghanaians don't have the card, doesn't make sense, and you have somebody in Parliament attempting to support such nonsense in a broad day, when his constituent could be a victim to this particular thing, and in the end could be denied of that right to vote. Alaska. Now politics, does it be so unreasonable? I'll do unwise. Chichiri wadwin nyina black politics we not show back pocket. Now the emotions nam. Because that is what they are doing. The argument, if you watch the argument in Parliament, then some of the points that were being articulated there, that is the sense you get. Because in a practical sense, if you take the argument there and you go and insert it within the district context, and as in the constituency settings, you try to implement it, you know, say, such so infantile, it doesn't make sense. I am crying. But in the name of party politics, we are defending nobody. This time around, I don't even go to talk about EC from Alaska. EC ninya de obeye bia. They say no single institution is absolutely independent under the Constitution. No single institution. And you have the freedom to come up with whatever that you want to. Easy bet me sorry say what if you just what if you 20 and what about. In their own they can set it up. Right. But you can implement it. Because for it to be implemented, no, it has to be agreed upon by a certain institution called Parliament. So EC can sit anywhere and conjecture and weave whatever that they want to. But the final bus and stop with Parliament as to whether they will allow it to go. But Ghana for free say we have elected reasonable men of conviction who exercise positive discretion at any point in time in ensuring say our interest is safeguarded and protected at any point in time. But these guys who abandon that particular civic responsibility, no, now they will be doing emotional politics in Parliament, all to the detriment of the very people who gave them those rights to go and represent their interests. That is what we are doing. So I don't want to fault easy. They can do whatever. BMW they can do those things. That is up to them. But because for them to implement, you need reasonable group of men and what parliament to approve or disapprove. Alaska. So one at that particular point, you take time. So see, yan checking French book, see, me person be able as a smuggle. Now with a question.
This was how they did it.
So why are you smuggling it if you know that the content in your good? And why is that always and always you have government officials being the mouthpiece of your friends and the electoral commission?
So at the end of the day, all of them are direct beneficiaries.
So Alaska, how do you expect people to have trust in the institution?
So, in a nutshell, Ghana for emblem parliament for ours.
Oh, Alaska, I may say, every single challenge, problem is because we have ineffective parliament. You have a parliament that is divided on partisan lines. We have parliament that is trading partisan interest over national interest. And because, Mimi Free say, if they have been, your friend is saying, working as a team, collectively in the interest of this particular nation, you may be NDC, you may be the MPP, but the common grounds are in every enlightened group. We have common grounds always is huge because we are all reasonable. That is why I call University of Ghana and I say lectures initiate and I say when they are thinking about the school, one will be also be men or money in the contact. One say lecture be lecture be sorry the way at them say as some Kenyan side because it's an enlightened community. Despite their disagreement, they still have a huge common ground because they are reasonable men. But how no? We have reasonable men though, but they don't go into the room with the reason. They'll go there with partisan emotions. I'm not saying say if you go to parliament, you have men almost see and they are more in there. But whenever they get into the chamber, time they share black politics, they share back pocket.
What time no?
They share black politics, they share back pocket. Then they argue emotions.
Why black politics?
They say no now, Alaska. They argue emotions because me say nema ya namu because easy asem we are can just whether assuming whether admit say we know be na what asem doesn't make sense. Something that is meant for the public, the best thing you can do is that you discuss it, you all agreed upon the content. Where you think that there is a need for review, you review so that you never no na I am right. I know the date is coming to serve the interest of the people. Does it make sense? How can we do this to ourselves, Alaska? Democracy has been an instrument among for users to develop themselves. We are using it as a tool, a deliberate tool, terrorizing ourselves, demoralizing ourselves, just to ensure, say, instead of progressing, we are rather retrogressing. So it takes element of reason and common sense for men to prevail over emotions and partisan interests to be able to realize, say, partner is not serving anybody's interest, and that there is the need for us. We are serving the interests of the people. So at any point in time, a policy is not serving the interests of the people. Alaska, we need to take into consideration because district now we could be a registration. With that minimum district, yes. We call north some of the districts, Alaska. We call north obibe to kwanya na acha o.
Oh yes. Now you take Afram.
Yeah, yes, uko mosi I remember guho baka amba fro aba no ene na den. Alaska. Enye easy.
Wonko hefa mosi a
makan wie. Amanfo baby o mo pe kwanya to kwan but ka amba fro aba na den. Alaska. Obetini baby ntu kwan. There are people in Accra Midimobia what in 15 years a ote your friend is saying Labadi. Circle crowd one. Yes. So until ubeye niaman chinchin and in a constitutional framework thought it was a lian niaman sabia humbachiri into the nipano ye focus in the quayano for registration in commando. Na say a reason me ni lorry for intramantawa fa commando. That is your job. State ni aboka is hanemia fa commando. You don't restrict your middle life because se nipa no faka free na kura ase na sada na okona se nipa be 200 and a TEC for when na man adam. So as a parliamentarian, it is your job identify this a challenge and resolve it. Alaska, this is common sense.
Sum it up for me.
Men summon up and call him. Ya can
right. And the 17 minutes at the top of the 5 years live on the radio. I'm on 92.3. Mami messages are abba na oko WhatsApp console no so messages no e chako. Gideon Herbal Center. Gideon Herbal Center. So wutie aye Herbal Center idin a Herbal Center ni din kra sayare ehunahuna yare Gideon Herbal Center. Ozi on kantira was say omo tried and tested omo nrupa bia badwama so a academics and na umlintimin Ebua amati yare chacha ayare samu nyina chatuchi kata ebutu o mabibia so ye kama pa so yoba ana wa won samu nkoye umfiti samu nkoye Gideon Herbal Center betin ne tadiama academics and na umlintimin aye Herbal mixture no and the for the such as say ye kama Gideon mala mixing subua ema eyi malaria nyina efio edi ema Gideon Herbal hospital ye work kaswa bodwa se kwante bonu so ye ben gano so ana se ufi kaswa na kwa ye ni men's good dan kase no na share wall ana se ebofe pam frena mercy 0242 104 288 0242 104 288 na ye ni Gideon Herbal Center 24 and treating common Bibian so and kama pa emfa emau health builders real estate funds and cancer say so person see that we thought dying and not high dying or make me aboa our sa kwan so na Bibian so I kama pa